Stop wasting money at Tesco. What if I told you that you're paying 3 times more for pre-grated cheese than the block next to it, and those meal deals actually cost more than making lunch at home? I'm talking about marketing tricks that make you grab the wrong products, premium ranges charging double for identical ingredients, and free from foods that are worse than standard versions. In this video, I'm counting down 10 items you should buy at Tesco, 4 to avoid completely, and my 5-step system to spot quality without overthinking it. Let's start with something hiding in plain sight that most people completely ignore. Number 10. Tesco Finest Free-Range Eggs. Everyone grabs eggs on autopilot. Cheapest box, chuck it in the trolley, move along. But the difference between Tesco's standard eggs and their Finest free range is genuinely shocking when you crack them side by side. Finest free range eggs cost about $3.20 for 6. Standard caged eggs run $1.40. You're paying double, but here's what you actually get. Yolks that stand tall and deep orange rather than pale yellow and flat. Whites that hold together instead of spreading across the pan like dishwater. The taste difference is immediate. Richer, almost buttery, with actual depth of flavor. That's because these chickens have space to move, access to outdoor areas, and better feed quality. It shows up directly in the egg. Check the lion stamp and date code. Tesco's supply chain for Finest eggs typically delivers fresher stock than budget ranges because higher turnover means shorter shelf time. You're getting eggs laid more recently, which affects texture and taste. But here's the real value. One Finest egg has about 7 grams of protein, the same omega-3 content as budget eggs, but with better bioavailability because the chickens ate better feed. You're not just paying for ethics, you're paying for nutrition that actually works. Ever notice how budget eggs sometimes smell faintly? Sulfurous even when fresh? That's stress hormones and poor quality feed coming through. Finest free range don't have this problem because the chickens weren't living in cages smaller than a laptop. Number 9. Tesco own brand dried pasta. Not Finest, not budget, just standard Tesco dried pasta in the blue packet. Costs about 70p for 500 grams, and it's genuinely excellent. Check the ingredients. Durum wheat semolina. That's it. One ingredient. Compare this to premium artisan brands charging £3 for the same product with fancy Italian packaging and essentially identical contents. The texture holds up beautifully during cooking. Proper al dente bite doesn't turn to mush if you leave it 2 minutes too long, and the sauce actually clings properly because the surface has the right roughness. This is made in Italy using the same mills that supply expensive brands. Tesco just doesn't charge you for marketing and heritage storytelling. You're getting identical quality for a quarter of the price. The shape selection is comprehensive. Spaghetti, penne, fusilli, rigatoni, farfalle. Everything you actually need without the novelty, shapes nobody uses. And because it's dried pasta, not fresh, it stores for months and cooks in 10 minutes. Want to elevate it? Cook in heavily salted water, reserve pasta water for your sauce, and finish cooking the pasta directly in the sauce for 30 seconds. The starch from proper pasta emulsifies beautifully. Budget pasta with added emulsifiers doesn't behave the same way. Number 8. Tesco Finest Sicilian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Olive oil is where Tesco's Finest range genuinely delivers. The standard Tesco olive oil is fine for cooking, but Finest Extra Virgin is cold-pressed, single origin, and costs about £6 for 500 ml. That sounds expensive until you realise premium brands charge £12 to £15 for the same quality. And quality matters with olive oil because cheap stuff is often blended, heat extracted, or adulterated with seed oils. Check the label. This is first cold pressed from olives harvested in Spain or Greece, depending on the batch. It has that peppery finish real extra virgin should have, the slight burn at the back of your throat that indicates polyphenol content. Those polyphenols are antioxidants. They're why olive oil is considered healthy beyond just being unsaturated fat. Heat extracted and refined oils lose this completely. You're paying more but getting actual nutritional benefit, not just marketing claims. Use this for dressing salads, finishing pasta, and drizzling over vegetables after roasting. Don't waste it for frying. Use standard olive oil for that. But for raw applications where you taste the oil directly, Finest Extra Virgin is worth every penny. And here's the kicker. Tesco's Finest range is frequently on club card promotion. You can regularly get this for $4.50, which is an absurd value for genuine cold-pressed extra virgin. Number 7. Tesco Sourdough Bloomer. Found in the bakery section, usually near the entrance, this is proper sourdough, flour, water, salt, and sourdough starter. No yeast, no improvers, no emulsifiers. Costs about $2.20 for a large loaf. It's baked in store daily, so you're getting bread that's hours old, not days. The crust is genuinely crusty. You need a serrated knife. The crumb has that irregular hole structure that real sourdough develops during long fermentation. Why does this matter? Real sourdough has a lower glycemic index than yeasted bread because the long fermentation process breaks down starches. It also develops organic acids that make nutrients more bioavailable and improve digestibility. That slight tang you taste, that's lactic acid from fermentation. It's what makes sourdough sour and what gives it better keeping qualities. This loaf firms up after a day, but doesn't go moldy for a week because the acidity inhibits bacteria. Compare this to sourdough-style breads in the package section. Those contain yeast and are made quickly with sourdough flavoring added. They're not fermented properly, so you don't get the digestive benefits or proper flavor development. Toast a thick slice, top with Tesco Finest butter and Marmite. The nutty, complex flavor of properly fermented bread is something else entirely. You'll never go back to plastic-wrapped sandwich bread. Number 6. Tesco Mature Cheddar Block. Not pre-grated, not sliced. The big block of Tesco standard mature cheddar in the dairy aisle costs about $2.60 for 350 grams and it's leagues ahead of processed alternatives. Check the ingredients. Pasteurized cow's milk, salt, starter culture and vegetarian rennet. 4 ingredients. Real cheese. It crumbles when you cut it because it's aged properly. It develops those crunchy salt crystals that mature cheddar should have. The flavor is sharp, tangy, with that slight bitterness good-aged cheddar delivers. This is because the proteins have broken down during maturation, developing complex flavors that processed cheese will never achieve. Ever wonder why pre-grated cheese doesn't melt properly? It's coated in anti-caking agents, usually cellulose or potato starch. Those prevent clumping in the bag but also prevent proper melting. Your toasty or pasta gets this weird, grainy texture instead of smooth, gooey cheese. Block cheese requires 30 seconds with a grater, but you get better flavor, better melting, and no added ingredients designed to keep cheese behaving like sand in a bag. And here's the cost breakdown. Pre-grated Tesco cheddar costs about £4 for 200 grams. That's £20 per kilo. The block is $7.40 per kilo. You're paying nearly 3 times more for the privilege of someone else grating it and adding anti-caking agents. Number 5. Tesco Finest Scottish Salmon Fillets. This is where Tesco's Finest range justifies the premium. 2 fillets cost about £6, and the quality difference versus standard farm salmon is dramatic. The flesh is deeper orange, firmer, and has visible fat marbling. That's omega-3 content you can actually see. Standard farm salmon is pale pink and mushy because the fish were fed cheap pellets and raised in overcrowded conditions. Check the label. This is from Scottish farms with better welfare standards and feed quality. The fish tastes less muddy, cleaner, and more marine. That muddy taste cheap salmon has comes from poor water quality and bottom feeding in crowded pens. Pan fry skin side down in a hot pan with olive oil. The skin crisps beautifully if the fish is of good quality. Budget salmon skin stays rubbery and releases water because the flesh isn't firm enough to render properly. And nutritionally, you're getting about 2 grams of omega-3 per fillet. That's the actual dose needed for cardiovascular benefits. Budget salmon has less because feed quality determines omega-3 content directly. This also freezes beautifully. Buy 2 packs when on offer, freeze what you won't use within 2 days, and you've got premium salmon available for months at promotional pricing. Number 4. Tesco Basmati rice. Standard Tesco Basmati in the 5 kilo bag. Costs about £8 and lasts months. This is properly aged Basmati, not the quick-grown stuff, and the difference is obvious when cooked. The grains are long, slender, and elongate beautifully during cooking. Proper Basmati should nearly double in length. Budget brands use immature or broken grains that clump together and overcook easily. You know that distinctive nutty aroma that Basmati should have? That's from aging. Rice is harvested, dried, and then aged for months to develop flavor and improve texture. Cheap brands skip aging to move product faster. You get rice that smells like nothing and cooks into paste. Rinse this thoroughly, 3 or 4 times until the water runs clear. You're removing surface starch that causes clumping. Then cook with the absorption method. 2 parts water to 1 part rice, bring to a boil, cover, simmer 15 minutes, rest 5 minutes. The result is fluffy, separate grains that don't stick together. Perfect for curry, biryani, or as a side. Budget Basmati never achieves this texture because the grains aren't mature enough to hold their structure. And here's the value. 5 kilos makes about 50 portions. That's 16 pence per serving. Compared to Ben's original microwave rice at $1.50 per portion, you're paying 9 times more for processed rice in plastic that tastes worse. Number 3. Tesco Finest free-range chicken breasts. Not standard chicken, not budget, finest free range specifically. Costs about £6 for 2 breasts and the quality justifies the price. These chickens lived longer, about 8 weeks versus 5 for standard birds. That extra time means more developed muscle structure, better fat distribution and actual flavour. Standard chicken breast tastes like nothing because the birds grew too fast to develop proper tissue. Check the texture when raw, firm, slightly pink with visible striations in the muscle. Budget chicken is often pale and waterlogged because it's been injected with brine to increase weight. You're literally paying for salt water. Cook one of these alongside standard Tesco chicken. The finest breast holds its shape, stays juicy, and has actual chicken flavour. The standard one shrinks dramatically, releases water into the pan, and tastes like damp cardboard with a vague poultry suggestion. This is because fast-grown chickens have underdeveloped connective tissue. The meat can't hold moisture during cooking, so it seeps out, leaving you with dry, flavourless protein that needs sauce to be remotely edible. And nutritionally, free-range chicken has better omega-3 ratios because the birds had access to insects and grass. Not just processed feed, you're getting more for your money in every measurable way. Number 2. Tesco Finest Dark Chocolate. 70% cocoa or higher found in the confectionery aisle. Costs about £2 for 100 grams and it's genuinely excellent chocolate. Check the ingredients. Cocoa mass, sugar, cocoa butter, emulsifier, vanilla. 5 ingredients and they're in the right order. Cocoa mass is first, meaning the majority of the product is actual chocolate, not sugar and vegetable fat. The texture is smooth and snappy when you break it. That snap indicates proper tempering. Budget chocolate bends rather than snapping because it contains palm oil instead of cocoa butter, and the flavour develops as it melts. First bitter, then slightly fruity, finishing with sweetness. That complexity comes from quality cocoa beans. Cheap chocolate tastes one-dimensional because it's made from low-grade beans and bulked out with sugar and fat. Dark chocolate with 70% cocoa or higher has genuine health benefits. Flavonoids that improve vascular function, antioxidants that reduce inflammation, but only if you're eating actual chocolate, not confectionery masquerading as chocolate. 2 squares after dinner satisfy sweet cravings without spiking blood sugar the way milk chocolate does, and because the flavour is intense, you naturally eat less. Budget milk chocolate is engineered to be moreish. You'll demolish the whole bar without thinking. Number 1. Tesco Finest Sourdough Crumpets. Found in the bakery section near the bread, these are game changers. Costs about £2 for 6, and they're miles ahead of standard crumpets. Real crumpets should have deep holes that go all the way through. That's from proper fermentation, creating CO2 bubbles during cooking. These have that structure because they're made with sourdough starter, not just yeast and baking powder. The flavour is complex, slightly tangy, nutty, with depth that standard Warburton's crumpets don't have. That's fermentation developing flavour. Compounds the same way sourdough bread does. Toast these until crispy on the outside but still soft in the middle. The holes fill with butter perfectly, and the tangy flavour balances the richness beautifully. Top with Marmite, peanut butter, or jam, and you've got breakfast that actually tastes like something. Standard crumpets are made with a quick chemical rise. No fermentation, no flavour development, just a vehicle for whatever you spread on top. These actually contribute to the overall taste instead of disappearing into blandness. And because they're sourdough based, they have better keeping qualities. They don't go mouldy as quickly, and they taste better toasted even after a few days. Alright, we're halfway through, and if you're still watching, you're probably realising Tesco's actually got some absolute bangers hiding in plain sight. But here's the thing. Knowing what to buy is only half the battle. The other half is knowing what to avoid, because Tesco stocks plenty of overpriced rubbish that looks premium but delivers nothing. If someone in your life is still wasting money on processed convenience foods, thinking they're getting value, they need to see what's coming next. Send this their way before they blow another £50 on meal deals and microwave meals. Let's keep going. Number 4, Tesco meal deals. Sandwich, snack, drink for £3.50. Seems like brilliant value until you examine what you're actually getting. The sandwiches are made centrally and shipped to stores. They're assembled 2 or 3 days before you buy them, sitting in modified atmosphere packaging designed to prevent visible spoilage while slowly degrading. Check the ingredients on any Tesco sandwich. The bread contains 10 to 15 ingredients, including emulsifiers, preservatives, and flour treatment agents. The filling is bulk protein mixed with mayonnaise. Itself made from rapeseed oil and emulsifiers, plus lettuce that's been washed in chlorine. You're eating engineered food products assembled for maximum shelf life and minimum cost. The protein to bread ratio is absurd, mostly bread with a thin smear of filling. You'd get more nutrition making a sandwich at home with proper ingredients. And the drinks included are sugar bombs, innocent smoothies, Coca-Cola, Tropicana. You're getting liquid sugar alongside processed sandwiches, convincing yourself it's a meal. The snack option is usually crisps, fried in seed oils and coated in flavour enhancers. So your £3.50 meal deal is actually processed carbs, degraded fats and liquid sugar packaged as convenience. Make your own lunch. Proper bread, actual cheese or meat, and fresh vegetables. It costs less, tastes better, and doesn't leave you hungry 90 minutes later. Number 3, Tesco Finest Ready Meals. I know, I've been championing the Finest range, but ready meals are where even premium lines fall apart. Pick up any Finest ready meal, say the beef stroganoff. The ingredients list runs to 30 items, including modified maize starch, dextrose, yeast extract, stabilizers, and multiple E-numbers. This is ultra-processed food engineered to taste acceptable after being frozen, transported, stored, and microwaved. The Finest label means slightly better ingredients than standard range, but it's still fundamentally processed convenience food. That beef has been cooked twice, once in the factory, once in your microwave. The vegetables have been blanched, frozen, and reheated. Everything's mushy, flavors are muddy, and the sauce has that weirdly uniform texture that comes from xanthan gum and modified starches. You're paying £5 for a portion that costs about £2 in ingredients. The markup is for convenience, but that convenience comes at the cost of actual nutrition and flavour. The psychological trap is thinking Finest equals healthy. It doesn't. It equals slightly better quality, ultra-processed food that's still fundamentally engineered for shelf life, not nutrition. Number 2, Tesco Free From Range. Marketed to people with allergies or intolerances, but mostly bought by people who think free from means healthier. Pick up Tesco free from chocolate chip cookies. They're free from gluten, yes, but check what they contain instead. Rice flour, potato starch, palm oil, sugar, raising agents, and emulsifiers. Because gluten provides structure in baking, removing it means adding other ingredients to compensate. Usually that means more fat and sugar plus multiple binding agents to prevent everything from falling apart. The result? Cookies with more calories, less fiber, and worse texture than standard versions. They're gritty, crumbly, and taste vaguely artificial because they're held together with chemical engineering rather than gluten's natural binding properties. Unless you have diagnosed celiac disease or legitimate gluten intolerance, you're paying premium prices for nutritionally inferior products that don't taste as good. And the same applies to dairy-free alternatives. Tesco free from cheese is mostly coconut oil, water, and emulsifiers. It doesn't melt properly, tastes nothing like cheese, and costs double what actual cheese costs. The entire range preys on health anxiety. People think avoiding gluten or dairy automatically makes food healthier, so they'll pay 3 times more for products that are objectively worse in every measurable way, except being free from one specific ingredient. Number 1. Tesco vegetable oil. Standard Tesco vegetable oil in the big plastic bottle costs about £2 for a litre, and it's probably the worst thing you can regularly cook with. Vegetable oil is mostly rapeseed oil in the UK, sometimes blended with sunflower or palm oil. These are polyunsaturated fats that oxidize rapidly when heated, creating aldehydes and other compounds that promote inflammation. Check the back of any processed food package. Vegetable oil is in everything because it's cheap, but cheap comes with costs that your liver and cardiovascular system pay later. These oils are extracted using hexane solvents and high heat, then deodorized to remove the rancid smell that results from processing. You're essentially cooking with refined industrial oil that's been chemically manipulated to be shelf-stable. The smoking point is low, about 230 degrees nines for rapeseed oil. Exceed that during cooking, and you're creating toxic compounds directly in your food. Yet people use this for deep frying and high-heat stir-frying because it's cheap. Switch to Tesco standard olive oil for cooking and finest extra virgin for raw applications. Costs more upfront, but it doesn't generate inflammatory compounds or require chemical processing to remain edible. And here's the real scandal. Tesco positions vegetable oil as the budget-friendly option, whilst olive oil is treated as premium. They're actively encouraging you to buy the worst product by making the better options seem unnecessarily expensive. Right, here's the system I use every single time I shop. It takes 30 seconds per product and filters out 90% of rubbish automatically. Step 1. Read the ingredients, not the front label. Marketing claims are meaningless. Natural, wholesome, artisan. These are unregulated terms designed to create health halos. The only truth is the ingredients list. Real food has short ingredient lists. Bread should be flour, water, salt, and yeast. Yogurt should be milk and cultures. Cheese should be made from milk, salt, and rennet. If the list runs longer than 5 or 6 items, question why. Look at the order. Ingredients are listed by weight, descending. If sugar appears in the first 3 items, you're buying a sugar product with other stuff added. If water is first in something that shouldn't be mostly water, you're paying for a diluted product. Step 2. Check for warning words. Modified, hydrogenated, hydrolyzed. These indicate industrial. Processing. Modified starch isn't dangerous, but it signals that real ingredients have been removed and replaced with cheaper alternatives. Look for multiple names for sugar: glucose syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, fructose. Manufacturers list these separately, so sugar doesn't appear first on the ingredients list, but it all adds up. Emulsifiers, stabilizers, thickeners. These are added when natural ingredients don't behave the way manufacturers want. Real cream doesn't need stabilizers. Real cheese doesn't need emulsifiers. If these appear, question what's been removed that required replacement. Step 3. Compare unit prices, not package prices. Tesco displays the price per 100 grams or per kilo below the main price. This is the only honest way to compare products because packaging sizes vary deliberately to confuse. Block cheese is $7.40 per kilo. Pre-grated is £20 per kilo. Same cheese, different form, 300% markup. Ready-cooked rice in pouches costs about £15 per kilo. Dried rice costs $1.60 per kilo. You're paying for water weight and plastic packaging. Fresh pasta costs £12 per kilo. Dried pasta costs $1.40 per kilo. Unless you're making a specific Italian dish where fresh is essential, you're wasting money. Step 4. Check the positioning. Eye-level shelves command premium rent. Manufacturers pay Tesco for prominent positioning because humans grab what's directly in front of them without thinking. The best value is always bottom shelf. Bend down, check what's been relegated to ankle height, and you'll find own brand products that are of identical quality to branded alternatives stocked higher up. End caps, those displays at the end of aisles, aren't special offers. They're paid for promotional space. Products there aren't necessarily on sale. They're just more visible because someone paid for that spot. Step 5. Understand Tesco's own brand hierarchy. Everyday value is genuinely cheap, sometimes acceptable. Pasta, rice, tinned tomatoes, often terrible. The meat is poor quality. Bread is full of improvers. Standard Tesco own brand is the sweet spot. Good quality, reasonable pricing, no premium for branding. This is where you find the pasta, olive oil and cheddar that compete with premium brands. Finest is genuinely better for fresh products. Eggs, meat, fish. For packaged goods, you're often paying for packaging aesthetics rather than superior ingredients. Compare Finest tinned tomatoes to standard Tesco tinned tomatoes. Check ingredients. Often identical except Finest costs 30 pence more. You're paying for a fancier label. The uncomfortable truth is, Tesco isn't trying to poison you. They're a business optimizing for profit. Processed foods have better margins than fresh ingredients. Branded products pay for shelf space. Meal deals drive footfall. Your job is to navigate their system intelligently. Recognize that prominent positioning means someone paid for that spot. Understand that packaging claims are marketing, not nutrition information. Know that convenience usually means processing, and processing usually means worse food for more money. But within Tesco's 40,000 products, there are genuinely excellent options. Own brand staples that match premium quality at budget pricing. Finest ranges where the premium is justified. Fresh products that rival specialist shops. You just need to know where to look, what to read, and what to ignore. Switch just half of that spending to proper ingredients. Block cheese instead of pre-grated, dried pasta instead of fresh, Finest eggs instead of standard, real olive oil instead of vegetable oil, and you'll eat better for less money whilst actually enjoying what you're eating. The system is designed to make this difficult, to make you feel like reading labels is paranoid, like cooking from scratch is time-consuming, like processed food is the only realistic option for busy people. It's not. It's just profitable for Tesco to make you believe that. So here's my question. What's one product you've been buying without checking the ingredients? What are you going to leave on the shelf after watching this? Drop a comment below because I want to know which revelation hit hardest. The meal deals, the vegetable oil, the free from range that's actually worse than standard products, and if this video just stopped someone you know from wasting money on overpriced processed rubbish whilst thinking they're shopping smart, send it their way. Everyone deserves to know what they're actually buying when they walk into Tesco.